gonna hit the button.
Hi, I'm Juan Martinez, and this is Modern Marketing. If you run a business, you have to get discovered on Google. There are many ways to go about doing that, but optimizing your site for search engines is really, really important. As always, I'm joined by Brent from Cadence Preferred. Brent, how are you today?
Great. How are you, Juan?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for joining us. Now, it's National Small Business Week, still going, and we need to get those small businesses out there ready for search engine optimization. Can you talk a little bit about search engine optimization on a very basic, high level so that you can let people who don't have expertise in the subject matter know what it's all about?
Sure. So, obviously, it seems like almost everybody today finds your website through Google, maybe, and increasing a little bit by Bing, but mainly through Google. And obviously, if you've done a search, you probably click on a few links on that first page. Maybe you go on to the second page, but you want to be as high up in those rankings as possible. Search engine optimization is basically the process that you go through as a company so that your website, as opposed to the website of your competitors, appears as high as humanly possible within those Google rankings. And Google has produced some webmaster guidelines that can help you know what is going to help you increase your rankings. So that's the positive. The negative is they're always making updates, and they also keep a little bit quiet about some of the rules that they use to rank their websites.
Ranking high is really, really important, especially for small local businesses, right? I mean, most people who don't know your business, the first thing they're going to do when they look for a particular service is Google it. And if you can show up at the top, you'll be the king amongst your market.
Yeah, that really highlights something important, and from that local perspective. And it also highlights a big shift that we're experiencing in terms of search engine optimization, or something that you'll also hear referred to as SEO. And that's the aspect of mobile. A lot of people, when they're looking for local content, are doing that through mobile devices. And so optimizing your site for both local and for mobile can be two important things that can help you increase in the rankings.
Now, you mentioned that Google constantly changes its algorithms and that you have to sort of stay on top of what's happening, but there are some things that you can universally do to make sure that you're ahead of the game. Content is one of those things. Talk a little bit about content and how that keeps you relevant on Google.
Sure. So obviously, normally, any of us, when we're searching online, what we're looking for is information, content, answers to questions, that type of thing. And it's content that is essentially going to give us that information. Now, so there's always been an aspect of content that is relevant within the rankings. However, in the past, what Google basically found is that some companies were abusing the guidelines and essentially using the guidelines that Google had created to artificially increase their own rankings. And so there were basically some rules that people could follow to manipulate the rankings. And so they could get high in the rankings even though their websites maybe didn't have relevant content or the things that people were really looking for. So over time, Google is changing some of its algorithms and some of its rules to try and keep companies from being able to abuse or game the system, and instead really lead users to find the content that they really want. Some of that is through some new artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's not necessarily so important that you worry about all the rules and the details. The key really becomes developing great content. There's a few rules you can follow to make sure that you have great content on your site.
Now, when you say content, you mean things like blog posts, videos, webinars, things like that. You don't mean heavy sales pushes or things that might generate sales but don't necessarily help you on Google.
Yeah, in fact, I'll go a step further than that. Before you think about all the great sales content that you want to put up on your website, put yourself in the role of your audience or even just yourself. Do you want to go to a website where all you do is get a strong sales pitch? Chances are not. You want to go to a website and you want to learn information, something new about a topic that you haven't read about before, etc. You want to be engaged. You want to be interested in what you're reading, etc. And I shouldn't even just say reading, because you mentioned video, and video is increasingly becoming very important from a search rankings perspective. So when I'm saying content, I am very much saying it's almost like what would your audience pick up and choose to read if they were sitting in the lobby, while they're waiting for a dentist appointment or something like that? That's the type of content that we're looking for and that really Google's trying to optimize for.
And it's not just about leaving it and forgetting about it, right? You want to constantly update content, make sure that it's relevant, make sure that the information is accurate, because Google is monitoring that as well, correct?
Yeah, so they want fresh content. They want new stuff being posted to your website. I'll go back to my dentist, waiting in the lobby of your dentist's office there for a minute. If you had to go back that next week, hopefully you don't. Hopefully you only have to go there every 6 months. But you don't want to read the same thing the next week that you just read. You would want to read something new, maybe on the same topic, maybe a follow-on on an article that you had read before, but you want something new. And whether that's a new blog post, whether that's a new video, etc., those things, the new content, is the stuff that's going to keep users coming back, and that's what Google's looking for. People are searching, and Google wants to drive users to places where users are going to have a great experience.
As always, we encourage you to submit questions for Brent. He's happy to answer them as long as he understands what you're asking and what you're looking for. We have a few in the queue already, so Social Pete, what do we have?
So I want to know, where should businesses be looking to keep up to date with the different SEO policy changes? Does Google have any resources?
Yeah, so the first thing that you need to look at is, so Google publishes a list of webmaster guidelines. I can either post them through my Twitter account, or we can provide those after the video on PC Mag and also on the website with Facebook that PC Mag uses here for the video. So that would be the first place that you can start. Then you can be doing some searches, because a lot of people out there who are SEO experts are staying on top of this and providing articles that can help you think about those types of things. There are a couple of things that I will mention that you should be doing immediately anyway. And that is, number one, if you're not optimized for mobile, you need to look at how you can start to change your site so that they have a great experience, whether they're on one of these or whether they're on one of these. Think about smaller screen sizes. You're going to hear things in terms of, one term in the industry is responsive design, and that really involves the site responds to the size of the screen that the person is viewing the content on. So going with more focus on mobile, and second of all, that emphasis on content that we talked about before. Those are two key things, and things that Google is emphasizing even more strongly within its rankings moving forward.
Looks like we have a few more questions. Pete, what do you got?
What kind of timeline would someone be looking at if they're saying, like, I want to actually make an impact on it through search and traffic? Like, how long am I going to have to invest before I'm actually seeing visitors to my site?
That's a great question. The first thing I'd say is there's a little bit of an aspect of how new or old is your topic or your topic area. So if you're in a well-established space, there are already going to be companies that have strong rankings within that space, and it's probably going to, number one, take you longer to get there, and you're going to have to work harder at it. If a new topic comes up, if there's something that people weren't searching on 3 months ago that now suddenly people are searching on, and if you can optimize your site from a content perspective for those new topics, you increase the odds that you're going to rise in the rankings for that. Now, one of the things that is important, however, is getting those basics of your site up and letting Google see that over a long period of time. That is a positive. So what you're doing with your website today, or I guess I should say, the sooner you can get things up today, the more that's going to benefit you 3 months from now, 6 months from now, et cetera, so that when that new topic comes up and you decide we really want to optimize for that, that your site in general as a container is viewed positively by Google, and then you rise quickly within the rankings for that specific topic.
And it's also about targeting keywords, right? If you run a plumbing supply company, you don't want to be creating content about the newest album that came out. You want to be focused on the content that you're trying to generate traffic for. That's something that people need to consider as well, right?
Yeah, keywords are obviously still essential within this. And you need to be on topic, and your website should have the feel that there's consistency. When we pick up a copy of, let's say, Sports Illustrated, we don't necessarily expect to read articles about the latest iPhone review. And similarly, when we pick up, business publication, we're not necessarily expecting to read gossip columns and things like that. So there has to be, similarly within your website, there has to be some consistency in terms of the topics that you're talking about.
Looks like Social Pete has a few more questions. Pete?
What's the biggest mistake you see sites making that they think is good for SEO but actually hurts their page rank?
There's two things that I would say that you need to stay away from. Number one is copy and paste. Do not go up to a site. Don't do a search on keywords that are relevant for your business and your industry, and look at the first 5 sites and decide that somehow you're going to benefit because you copy and paste content. Not only is obviously there a legal issue and a copyright issue associated with that, but Google's going to recognize that you've essentially done some scraping and some copy and paste and put that up on your website. So that would be number one you need to be careful with. And kind of associated with that is having a bunch of pages that are the same or almost the same to one another. Another thing is sometimes referred to as keyword either cramming or packing or different things like that. It doesn't happen nearly as much anymore because Google tries to shove those sites down, but we all probably remember days where we got to websites and you found this massive block of text down on the bottom of the page where it just had keyword after keyword after keyword. And Google, basically they were trying to make sure that they hit on all those keywords, and Google basically doesn't like that and will definitely reduce your rankings if you're doing things like that.
If you're interested in this topic, Brent pens a column for us every week on Modern Marketing, and his column on SEO tips and tricks is live right now on PCMag.com. So if you need more information on this, be sure to head on over to that column. We have more from Social Pete. Pete?
So most of the discussion with SEO focuses on Google. We had a commenter asking about Bing, though, and do a lot of the same principles apply there?
So they definitely do. If you create your site so that you're friendly with Google, in all likelihood you're going to be friendly with Bing as well. One of the things that you're starting to hear more from Google right now is something that they call RankBrain, and this is basically machine learning or artificial intelligence that tries to interpret the intent of your page. Well, Bing also has something similar. It's referred to as RankNet. In this case, now it's hard to say who had which first, etc., but Bing has had RankNet for a while. Google's talking increasingly about RankBrain. They're both basically trying to not only just go off of keywords, but go off what the intent of the search is and lead people to the right content. But in general, if you're doing something that is good for Google, chances are you're going to be doing something that's going to help you in the Bing rankings as well.
And talk a little bit about headlines. Headlines are really important for SEO as well, right? So you don't want to just create crappy headlines that are boring that nobody's going to click on. You want things that are going to be attractive and are going to make people want to actually go to the content.
Yeah, so, I mean, we find this even on PC Mag, right? And we see it in other publications. The reality is, in a lot of respects for your website, what was good journalism is also what is good for your website. No one wants to read boring content. The intent of kind of what was first the newspaper industry and now online, etc., for a century and more was create things that can catch your attention. And that should be the same thing for your website. And you need to be a little bit careful, right? You could be a little too sensational. And so you have to balance what's right for your website and what your audience wants. But there can be components also of your website where you can do that a little bit more. Earlier you mentioned blogs. Blogs are more of kind of a column or a feature, and you can probably go a little bit more aggressive there than you might on the content on your homepage.
We have more from Pete. Pete, what do you got?
Someone wants to know whether comment sections on a blog or website are good for SEO. Like, would Google penalize you if you ditched them?
So at a high level, I'm not an SEO expert. I don't know what the relevance is of comments within their search rankings. It's also important to note that Google intentionally stays a little bit quiet on certain aspects of their algorithm so that companies can't just go out and game the system.
But I would say it's helpful to have the comment section for people who do come to your site because people want to see what others are saying about your company and your thoughts.
Yeah, I'm always impressed, honestly, with those websites that have comments where they even allow up comments that may not always be the most positive, you get this feeling like, hey, the company really cares about letting its users vocalize their opinions. And I think it gives more credibility, too, to when you then see a positive comment, if you realize the company is not just stacking the list with positive comments, but they're also allowing people, if they have concerns, to vocalize maybe some of their concerns as well.
Brent, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Juan.
As always, Brent is our modern marketing guru. He pens a column every week on PCMag.com. This week, his column is up. He offers 4 tips and tricks for staying atop Google search rankings. This is Juan Martinez for PC Mag. Have a great day. Thank you very much.